Part 1. The part of your body you may have judged too harshly. Tonight, before sleep arrives, I'd like to invite you to look at your body a little differently. Not through the eyes of a doctor, not through the eyes of a fitness magazine, not through the eyes of social media, but through the eyes of quiet curiosity. Because there is a good chance that something you've spent years worrying about, years criticizing, years trying to change, may not be what you think it is. Perhaps you've noticed changes in your body over time. Most people do. The body you have today is not the same body you had 20 years ago, or 30, or 40. The shape may be different. The weight may be different. The energy may feel different. Clothes fit differently. Recovery feels different. Even sleep sometimes feels different. And for many people, especially after 50, those changes can feel frustrating, confusing, sometimes even disappointing. You eat the same foods, yet the scale behaves differently. You stay active, yet your body seems to respond more slowly. You do your best, and still things change. It's easy to look in the mirror and conclude that your body is somehow working against you, that it has become stubborn, uncooperative, broken. But what if that isn't the full story? What if one of the things you've spent years trying to fight has actually been trying to help you? Not perfectly, not always successfully, but sincerely. Because the truth is, your body has never stopped trying to protect you. Not for a single day. Even when you weren't thinking about it, even when you were asleep, even when you were frustrated with it. The body continued doing what it has always done, trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you alive, trying to prepare for tomorrow. And nowhere is this more misunderstood than in the story of body fat. Now, before you decide this conversation isn't for you, stay with me. Because this is not a discussion about diets or calories or losing weight. Tonight is about understanding. Understanding something that most people have spent their entire lives misunderstanding. For decades, body fat has been portrayed as an enemy. Something unwanted, something embarrassing, something to eliminate. Many people carry years of painful memories connected to their bodies. Comments from childhood, pictures they disliked, numbers on a scale, comparisons with others, disappointment, shame, frustration. The result is that many people have developed a difficult relationship with their own bodies. Not because they wanted to, because they were taught to. And yet, the body itself tells a very different story. Imagine meeting someone who worked tirelessly for you every day. Someone who protected you through illness, stress, cold winters, difficult seasons, years of uncertainty. Imagine that person never asked for recognition, never demanded appreciation, simply kept helping, quietly, faithfully. Now imagine spending decades believing that person was your enemy. Strange thought, isn't it? And yet many people have done exactly that with their own bodies, especially with body fat. Because body fat has never seen itself as your enemy. Body fat has always understood its role differently. To the body, fat is protection. It is preparation. It is insurance against uncertainty. It is stored energy, stored warmth, stored resilience. For most of human history, food was not guaranteed. There were no supermarkets, no refrigerators, no food delivery apps. Some days brought abundance. Other days brought very little. The ability to store energy during good times was not a flaw. It was survival. Without it, many of our ancestors would never have lived long enough to have children. And if they hadn't survived, none of us would be here. That ancient survival system still exists inside you. Even though the world has changed dramatically, your body is still carrying wisdom written by thousands of generations. Sometimes that wisdom doesn't perfectly match modern life, but it comes from a place of protection, not sabotage. Protection. This becomes especially important during periods of stress. And perhaps that sounds familiar. Many people listening tonight have experienced significant stress, financial stress, family stress, health concerns, caregiving responsibilities, unexpected changes, loss, uncertainty. The body responds to all of it. Not because it is weak, because it is paying attention. Imagine a small town preparing for a harsh winter. What does it do? It stores supplies. It prepares reserves. It gathers resources. Not because disaster is guaranteed, because preparation increases survival. The body thinks in a remarkably similar way. When conditions feel uncertain, the body often becomes more protective, more conservative, more focused on preserving resources. This is not evidence that your body has stopped caring about you. It may actually be evidence that it cares very much. The problem is that many of us only see the result. We see the weight, the changes, the frustrations. We rarely see the intention behind them. And intention matters, because understanding changes everything. When you believe your body is fighting you, you feel frustrated. When you begin to realize your body may be trying to help, something softens. Compassion becomes possible. Curiosity becomes possible. And perhaps healing becomes possible too. The remarkable thing is that scientists have discovered that body fat is far more intelligent than anyone once believed. For a very long time, researchers thought fat was little more than storage, like boxes stacked in a warehouse. Useful, perhaps, but passive, silent, inactive. They were wrong. What they discovered changed how we understand the human body. Body fat is alive, active, communicating, responding, listening, in ways that continue surprising researchers even today. And once you understand what it is actually doing, you may never look at it the same way again. Because hidden beneath years of misunderstanding, there is a remarkable story unfolding. A story about protection, adaptation, survival, and the extraordinary intelligence of the body you live in every day. But before we explore that story, take a slow breath. Let your shoulders relax. Allow the weight of the day to settle. You do not need to judge your body tonight. You do not need to fix anything tonight. For now, simply allow yourself to become curious. Because what your body has been trying to do for you all these years may be far more remarkable than you ever imagined. And that is where our story goes next. Part 2. Your body is not working against you. A few moments ago, we explored an idea that may have felt surprising. The possibility that your body is not fighting you. The possibility that some of the changes you've struggled to understand may actually be part of a much larger story. A story about protection, adaptation, and survival. Now, I'd like to take that idea a little further, because there is something scientists have discovered over the past few decades that completely changed the way we understand body fat. For a very long time, researchers believed fat was mostly storage, a passive tissue, a place where extra energy simply sat waiting to be used, like boxes stacked in a warehouse. Nothing more, nothing less. But science eventually revealed something remarkable. Body fat is not silent, it is not inactive, and it is certainly not unintelligent. In fact, body fat is constantly communicating with the rest of the body, sending signals, receiving signals, responding to changes in your environment, adjusting to what it believes you may need in the future. In many ways, it's less like a warehouse and more like a messenger. Imagine a large city. Different departments are constantly exchanging information. The transportation department communicates with emergency services. Emergency services communicate with hospitals. Hospitals communicate with utility systems. Everyone shares information because the city functions best when its parts work together. The human body operates in a remarkably similar way. Nothing works completely alone. The brain communicates with the nervous system. The nervous system communicates with hormones. Hormones communicate with organs. And body fat participates in those conversations too. This surprises many people, because most of us grew up hearing only one version of the story. Fat was the problem, fat was the enemy, fat was something to eliminate. But the body has always understood something more complicated, because body fat performs jobs that are essential to survival. It helps store energy, It helps regulate hormones. It helps insulate the body. It helps protect organs. And perhaps most importantly, it helps prepare for uncertainty. The body has always been preparing for tomorrow, even when tomorrow never arrives the way it expected. Think about how extraordinary that is. Every day your body is making decisions based on information it receives. How much food is available? How much stress is present? How much sleep are we getting? How safe does the environment feel? How much energy might we need later? The body gathers all of these signals and responds accordingly, not perfectly, but intelligently. And this becomes especially important when we talk about stress. Because one of the biggest misunderstandings people have about body weight is believing that food is the entire story. Food matters, of course, but it is not the only signal the body pays attention to. Stress is a signal too. Sleep is a signal too. Safety is a signal too. And the body takes all of them seriously. Imagine living in a world where resources were unpredictable. Sometimes food was plentiful. Sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes danger was nearby. Sometimes it wasn't. The individuals who survived were often the ones whose bodies prepared in advance. Bodies that conserved energy. Bodies that stored reserves. Bodies that remained cautious during uncertain times. Those survival systems helped human beings endure for thousands of generations, and they still exist today, even though modern life looks very different. The challenge is that the body cannot always distinguish between ancient threats and modern ones. A stressful email, a financial concern, a sleepless week, a health scare, a period of emotional strain. To the body, these experiences still represent uncertainty, and uncertainty often triggers protective responses, not because the body wants to frustrate you, because the body wants to protect you. This is one reason many people become discouraged when they gain weight during stressful periods. They assume they have failed somehow, failed to be disciplined, failed to stay motivated, failed to take care of themselves. But what if there is another explanation? What if the body was responding exactly the way it was designed to respond? Not because it was malfunctioning, because it was receiving signals that suggested caution. The remarkable thing is that the body does not wake up in the morning looking for ways to make your life harder. The body wakes up looking for ways to keep you alive. And survival systems tend to be conservative, protective, careful, especially when the future feels uncertain. This becomes easier to understand when we think about hunger. Most people assume hunger is simply a matter of an empty stomach. But hunger is far more sophisticated than that. It involves hormones, brain signals, energy levels, sleep quality, stress levels. The body is constantly gathering information before deciding how much hunger to create. Which means the experience of hunger is not merely about willpower. It is biology, communication, information flowing through a complex system. The same is true for body fat. The same is true for metabolism. The same is true for many changes people notice as they grow older. There are conversations happening beneath the surface. Conversations most of us never hear, yet they influence how the body responds every day. And perhaps that realization changes something. Perhaps it softens the tendency to blame ourselves. Because if the body is responding to information, then understanding becomes more useful than judgment. Curiosity becomes more useful than criticism. Compassion becomes more useful than shame. And compassion matters, far more than most people realize. Many people have spent decades speaking harshly to themselves, especially about their bodies, looking in the mirror and focusing only on flaws, only on changes, only on what no longer looks the way it once did. But imagine speaking to a loyal friend that way. A friend who had spent years helping you survive. A friend who had carried you through difficult seasons. A friend who never stopped showing up. You would never treat them with that kind of harshness. Yet many people direct that harshness toward their own bodies every day. Perhaps tonight is an opportunity to try something different. Not blind positivity. Not pretending everything is perfect. Simply understanding the body is trying. The body is responding, the body is adapting, and often, It is doing those things for reasons that make far more sense than we initially realize. The deeper we look, the more obvious that becomes, especially as we get older, because aging introduces new signals, new challenges, new adjustments. And one of the most common questions people ask is this: why does my body seem to hold on to weight more easily now than it did years ago? Why does everything feel different after 50? Why does the same effort seem to produce different results? The answer is far more interesting than most people expect, because the body is not simply changing. The body is adapting. And the reasons behind those changes tell us something fascinating about how deeply committed the body remains to protecting us. That is where our story goes next. For now, take a slow breath. Allow your thoughts to settle. You do not need to judge your body tonight. You do not need to fight it tonight. For this moment, perhaps it is enough simply to understand that your body has been listening all along. And in its own way, it has been trying to help. Part 3. Why your body holds on more as you get older. As we continue tonight, I'd like to talk about something deeply personal, something many people notice, but few people discuss openly. The moment they realize their body is changing. Not dramatically, not overnight, gradually, quietly, year by year. Perhaps you've experienced it yourself. You reach a point in life where familiar strategies no longer seem to work the same way. The foods you've eaten for years suddenly affect you differently. The weight that once came off easily now seems reluctant to leave. Recovery takes longer. Energy feels less predictable. And sometimes, despite your best efforts, your body seems determined to hold on to extra weight. For many people, this experience feels deeply frustrating because it appears unfair. You may be working just as hard, perhaps harder, yet the results feel different. The temptation is to blame yourself, to assume you've become lazy, undisciplined, unmotivated, that somehow you've failed. But what if that conclusion is wrong? What if the story is more complicated? What if your body is responding exactly the way it was designed to respond? Because one of the most important truths about aging is this: your body is not simply getting older. Your body is gathering information. Think about how much your body has experienced over the years. Decades of stress, decades of adaptation, decades of responsibility, decades of interrupted sleep, decades of responding to life's challenges. The body remembers all of it, not consciously, not emotionally, biologically, and over time, those experiences begin influencing the decisions your body makes. Imagine a wise old traveler, someone who has crossed deserts, weathered storms, survived difficult winters. Would that traveler behave exactly like someone setting out for the very first time? Probably not. Experience changes behavior. Experience encourages caution, preparation, conservation. In many ways, the body becomes similar. As the years pass, it becomes more protective, more careful, more focused on preserving resources. Not because something is wrong, because experience has taught it that uncertainty exists. This becomes especially noticeable during midlife and beyond. For women, hormonal changes associated with menopause often create dramatic shifts. Weight distribution changes, metabolism changes, sleep changes, energy regulation changes. Many women spend years wondering what happened. The answer is often simpler than they realize. The body is adapting to a completely new hormonal environment, not failing, adapting. For men, changes occur more gradually, but they occur nonetheless. Muscle mass naturally becomes harder to maintain. Recovery slows, stress accumulates, sleep quality may decline. And all of these factors influence how the body manages energy. What makes this difficult is that many people compare themselves to a younger version of themselves, a version that existed under entirely different circumstances, different hormones, different responsibilities, different stress levels, different sleep patterns, different life experiences. Of course, the body responds differently now. It is not the same chapter of the story. And perhaps that's okay. Because the goal was never to remain exactly the same forever. The goal was adaptation, growth, survival, life. Sometimes we forget how extraordinary that is. The body has guided you through every decade you've lived. Every season, every challenge, every unexpected turn. And despite all those changes, it continues finding ways to move forward. One of the most misunderstood influences on body weight during aging is stress. Not because stress magically creates weight, but because stress changes priorities. Imagine managing a household budget during uncertain times. What happens? People often become more cautious. They save more, spend less, hold on to resources. The body behaves similarly. When stress remains elevated for long periods, the body may begin acting more conservatively, protecting energy, preserving reserves, preparing for uncertainty again. Not because it wants to frustrate you, because it wants to help you survive. This is where many people become trapped in self-criticism. They look at the outcome, but never examine the intention. They see the weight, but not the protection. They see the frustration, but not the adaptation. They see the symptom, but not the strategy, and understanding that strategy changes everything. Because once you recognize that your body may be trying to help, the conversation becomes gentler, less judgment, more curiosity, less frustration, more compassion. Compassion matters because the body responds differently when it no longer feels under attack. Many people spend years fighting themselves, arguing with their reflection, criticizing every change, resenting every sign of aging. But imagine criticizing a loyal friend for changing after decades of carrying responsibilities. You wouldn't. You would understand. You would recognize the journey they've been through. Perhaps your body deserves that same understanding. After all, it has been carrying you through life this entire time. The truth is that aging is not a story of decline, at least not entirely. It is a story of adaptation, a story of resilience, a story of a body continuously adjusting to changing circumstances. And yes, sometimes those adjustments are inconvenient. Sometimes they are frustrating. Sometimes they feel unfair, but they are rarely random. The body almost always has a reason, and often that reason is protection. Protection from scarcity, protection from uncertainty, protection from stress, protection from the unknown. The remarkable thing is that these ancient survival systems are still working exactly as they were designed. The world has changed, but the body still carries wisdom from another era. Wisdom shaped by thousands of generations who survived because their bodies learned how to prepare, how to conserve, how to endure. And perhaps that perspective changes something. Perhaps it helps us see the body less as a problem to solve, and more as a partner, trying to navigate life the best way it knows how. Because once we stop fighting the body, something unexpected happens. We begin listening. And when we listen, we often discover that the body has been telling us something important all along, especially about stress, especially about sleep, especially about safety. In fact, one of the strongest influences on body weight after 50 has surprisingly little to do with food. It has to do with how safe the body feels, how well it sleeps, how often it gets a chance to recover. And that brings us to one of the most important conversations of the entire night: the hidden connection between stress, sleep, and the body's decision to hold on. Because sometimes, the body stores more not because it is broken, but because it is tired. And that is where our story goes next. For now, take a slow breath. Allow your body to settle a little deeper into comfort. You do not need to compare yourself to who you were 20 years ago tonight. You do not need to win an argument with the mirror tonight. For this moment, perhaps it is enough to recognize that your body has been adapting all along, doing its best, learning as it goes, just like you. And maybe that deserves a little compassion. Part 4. The hidden link between stress, sleep, and fat storage. As we continue tonight, I'd like to explore a question that surprises many people, a question that becomes increasingly important as we get older. What if the body stores energy differently when it feels stressed? Not because it is confused, not because it is failing, because it is trying to protect you. At first, that idea may sound strange. After all, most people think of body weight as a simple equation. Food in, energy out, calories consumed, calories burned. And while those factors certainly matter, the body is far more sophisticated than a calculator. The body is constantly asking questions most of us never hear. Am I safe? Do I have enough resources? Can I relax? Or should I prepare for something difficult? These questions influence far more than people realize, because the body is not only managing energy, it is managing survival. Imagine once again that small town preparing for winter. The townspeople notice signs of uncertainty. The weather becomes unpredictable. Supplies seem less certain. Challenges may be ahead. What happens? They become more careful, more protective, more focused on preserving resources, not because disaster is guaranteed, because preparation feels wise. The body often behaves in a remarkably similar way, especially during prolonged periods of stress. And perhaps you've experienced stress like that. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind, the kind that lingers. Financial concerns, health worries, family responsibilities, loneliness, grief, caregiving, the uncertainty that sometimes arrives with aging. These experiences rarely disappear overnight. Instead, they become part of daily life. A background hum running beneath everything else, and the nervous system notices. The body notices. Every single day. What makes this especially important is that the body often interprets chronic stress differently than we do. We may tell ourselves, "I'm fine, I'll get through it. I've handled worse." And perhaps all of that is true. But the body still records the experience. The nervous system still responds. The body still adjusts. One of the ways it adjusts involves a hormone called cortisol. You may have heard of cortisol before. It is often called the stress hormone. But cortisol is not the villain many people imagine. In fact, cortisol serves important purposes. It helps regulate energy. It helps you wake up in the morning. It helps the body respond to challenges. The problem is not cortisol itself. The problem is when the body begins receiving signals that stress never fully ends. When that happens, the nervous system remains slightly more alert, slightly more cautious, slightly more prepared, day after day, week after week, month after month. Imagine sleeping with one eye open, not literally, but biologically. The body never fully receives permission to relax. And when relaxation becomes difficult, sleep often becomes difficult too. This is where many people begin noticing a frustrating cycle. Stress makes sleep harder. Poor sleep increases stress. The nervous system becomes more reactive. The body feels more exhausted. Recovery becomes more difficult. And eventually, the body begins operating as though uncertainty has become normal. Perhaps you've experienced this yourself. You finally get into bed. The house is quiet. The day is over. Nothing urgent is happening. Yet your mind refuses to settle. Thoughts continue moving. Concerns continue circulating. Plans continue forming. Sometimes you fall asleep, only to wake again at 3 in the morning, wide awake, thinking about things that seemed manageable the day before. Many people assume this is simply a sleep problem, but often it is a nervous system problem. The body is still listening for danger, still trying to protect you, still carrying responsibilities into the night. And when sleep becomes fragmented, the body notices, because sleep is one of the primary ways the body restores balance. During restorative sleep, the nervous system calms, repair processes increase, hormonal systems recalibrate. The body begins catching up on the work it could not complete during the day. But when sleep becomes inconsistent, the body receives mixed signals. The environment feels less predictable. Recovery becomes more difficult, The nervous system remains more vigilant, and protective systems become more active. Again, not because the body is broken, because it is trying to adapt. This is why many people become frustrated when they focus only on food while ignoring sleep, or only on exercise while ignoring stress. The body experiences all of these signals together. It does not separate them the way we often do. Sleep affects hunger. Stress affects sleep. Sleep affects energy. Stress affects motivation. Everything is connected, which means improving one area often helps another. And perhaps that is encouraging, because it means the solution is not always about trying harder. Sometimes it is about helping the body feel safer, helping the nervous system feel supported, helping the body believe that recovery is possible. Think about how different you feel after a truly restful night. Not just physically, emotionally, mentally. The world often feels more manageable. Challenges feel less overwhelming. Patience comes more easily. Hope returns more naturally. The body responds differently when it has recovered, and that response extends far beyond energy levels. It influences countless systems throughout the body, including how the body manages its resources. This is one reason compassion matters so much, because many people approach themselves with pressure, criticism, frustration, demands, and pressure often sounds remarkably similar to danger. The nervous system does not always distinguish between external pressure and internal pressure. It simply receives signals and responds. Imagine how different life feels around someone who makes you feel safe, someone who accepts you, someone who doesn't require perfection, someone who allows you to exhale. The body responds immediately. The nervous system softens, the heart slows, the mind becomes quieter. Safety changes biology. And perhaps that same principle applies to the relationship you have with yourself. What if your body needs less criticism and more support, less fighting and more understanding, less pressure and more patience? Because the remarkable thing is that the body has been trying to protect you all along, even when its methods felt frustrating, even when its signals felt confusing. The intention has always been survival. The intention has always been care. And once we understand that, something begins to change. The body becomes less of an enemy and more of a partner doing its best with the information it receives. But this raises another fascinating question. If the body is still operating with ancient survival instincts, where did those instincts come from? Why was storing energy once such an extraordinary advantage? And what lessons from our distant past are still influencing us today? The answers take us back thousands of years, to a world very different from the one we live in now. A world where survival looked very different, yet somehow still lives inside us. And that is where our story goes next. For now, take a slow breath. Allow the weight of the day to become a little lighter. You do not need to solve every problem tonight. You do not need to carry every responsibility into sleep. For this moment, perhaps it is enough to know that your body has been trying to protect you, even when you didn't understand why. And perhaps tonight, you can offer it a little understanding in return. Part 5. The ancient survival system still living inside you. As we continue tonight, I'd like you to imagine a very different world. A world without grocery stores, without refrigerators, without delivery services, without knowing exactly where your next meal would come from. For most of human history, that was reality. Food was uncertain. Some seasons brought abundance, others brought scarcity. Some years were generous, others were harsh, and survival depended on something incredibly important: preparation. The people who survived were rarely the strongest, they were often the best prepared. The ones whose bodies knew how to save resources during good times. The ones whose bodies knew how to endure difficult seasons. The ones whose biology understood uncertainty. And that ancient wisdom is still alive inside you, right now. As you listen, inside every cell, inside every survival system, inside every protective response your body creates. The remarkable thing is that your body still remembers a world that no longer exists. Not consciously, of course not. You do not wake up thinking about ancient winters or failed harvests. But your biology carries that history. Thousands of generations of adaptation, thousands of generations of learning, thousands of generations of survival. Imagine inheriting a house that has been passed down through a family for centuries. Each generation adds something. A repair here, a reinforcement there, a lesson learned from a storm, a lesson learned from a difficult winter. Over time, the house becomes shaped by everything that came before. The human body is similar. It carries lessons from countless generations, lessons written into systems designed to keep people alive. One of those lessons is simple. When uncertainty appears, prepare, store resources, conserve energy, be cautious. That strategy worked remarkably well for most of human history. The challenge is that the modern world creates uncertainty in very different ways. Instead of worrying about harvests, people worry about finances. Instead of predators, people worry about health. Instead of food shortages, people worry about responsibilities. The sources have changed, but the nervous system often responds using the same ancient tools. This is one reason modern life can feel so exhausting. The body is operating with survival systems designed for a completely different world, a world where danger was usually visible, temporary, immediate. Today, many of our challenges are invisible, long-term, psychological, and difficult to resolve quickly. The body still responds, because responding is what it was designed to do. Perhaps this explains something many people find confusing. Why does the body sometimes seem so determined to hold on? Why does it resist change? Why does it appear cautious? Because caution once saved lives. Imagine standing beside a fire thousands of years ago. The weather is changing. Food is becoming scarce. Winter is approaching. Would it make sense for the body to waste valuable resources? Of course not. Conservation was wisdom. Protection was wisdom. Preparation was wisdom. And although your life today may look very different, those ancient instincts remain. Not because evolution made a mistake, because survival mattered. In fact, you are the result of countless generations of successful survival. Think about that for a moment. Every one of your ancestors survived long enough to pass life forward. Through storms, through uncertainty, through disease, through hardship, through challenges we can barely imagine today. And their survival strategies became part of the inheritance you now carry. That inheritance includes a body that takes protection very seriously, a body that would rather prepare unnecessarily than be caught unprepared, a body that often chooses safety over risk. And while that can sometimes feel frustrating, it is also extraordinary. Because beneath those responses lies a simple truth. Your body wants you to survive. Your body wants you to be here tomorrow. Your body wants another sunrise, another chance, another day. Many people spend years fighting these protective systems, trying to overpower them, trying to silence them, trying to force the body into submission. But perhaps there is another path, a gentler path. A path based on understanding, because understanding changes the conversation. When you realize your body is operating from protection, frustration begins to soften. The body becomes less like an enemy and more like a loyal guardian. A guardian that occasionally overprotects. A guardian that sometimes misunderstands modern life, but a guardian whose intentions remain remarkably consistent. Protection, survival, care. This perspective becomes especially important as we grow older, because aging often brings new forms of uncertainty. Health concerns, retirement decisions, changing family dynamics, losses, transitions, unexpected challenges. The body notices all of it, and often responds by becoming even more protective, not because it is giving up, because it is trying to help. Perhaps that realization changes something. Perhaps it helps us stop viewing every change as failure, every pound as a mistake, every challenge as proof that something is wrong. Perhaps it allows us to see the body through a different lens, a lens of appreciation, a lens of curiosity, a lens of compassion. After all, how many years has this body been protecting you? How many nights has it stayed awake repairing? How many challenges has it helped you survive? How many difficult seasons has it carried you through? The answer is probably more than you realize. And perhaps that deserves gratitude, not because the body is perfect, because it has been trying. All along, the remarkable thing about survival systems is that they were never meant to create happiness. They were meant to create survival. Yet once we understand them, we gain something powerful. Choice. We can stop fighting every signal, stop criticizing every adaptation, stop assuming the body is broken. Instead, we can begin creating conditions that help the body feel safe again, conditions that help the nervous system relax, conditions that support recovery, conditions that support healing. And that may be one of the most important lessons of all. Because when the body feels safer, everything begins changing. Sleep improves, recovery improves, energy improves, resilience improves, not overnight, not dramatically, but gradually. The way nature often works, the way healing often works. And perhaps that's reassuring, because it means you do not need to force your body into becoming something else. You do not need to win a battle against yourself. You may simply need to become a better partner to the body that has been protecting you all these years. And that brings us to the final chapter of our journey tonight. A chapter not about survival, but about compassion. Because once we understand why the body behaves the way it does, a very different question emerges. What if your body deserves more kindness than criticism?
What if it deserves understanding rather than judgment?
And what if healing begins there? That is where our story goes next. For now, take a slow breath. Allow the day to drift a little farther away. The ancient survival systems inside you can rest for a while. You are here. You are safe. And for this moment, that is enough. Part 6. Maybe your body deserves more compassion. As we reach the end of our journey tonight, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. A thought that has nothing to do with diets, nothing to do with calories, nothing to do with scales, nothing to do with achieving some perfect version of yourself. Instead, it has everything to do with how you see your body. Because after everything we've explored tonight, one question remains. How would your relationship with your body change if you truly believed it had been trying to help you all along? Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but sincerely. Think about how many years you've lived inside this body, how many mornings it has helped you wake up, how many nights it has worked while you slept, how many illnesses it has recovered from, how many stressful seasons it has carried you through, how many challenges it has helped you survive. The answer is probably more than you could count. And yet, many people spend years speaking about their bodies as though they are enemies. They criticize them, fight them, blame them, judge them, especially when the body changes, especially as the years pass.
Especially when it no longer behaves the way it once did.
Perhaps you've done this yourself. Most people have. You look in the mirror and notice what has changed. You notice what no longer looks the same. You notice the signs of aging, the extra weight, the softer features, the slower recovery, the differences. And because our culture spends so much time celebrating youth, many people begin seeing these changes as failures, evidence that something has gone wrong, evidence that they are somehow losing a battle. But what if that isn't the most truthful way to see it? What if those changes tell a different story? A story of survival, a story of endurance, a story of adaptation. After all, every line on your face reflects years you have lived. Every change in your body reflects experiences you have survived. Every scar tells a story. Every season has left its mark, and perhaps that is not something to be ashamed of. Perhaps it is evidence of a life fully lived, The remarkable thing about the body is that it never expected to remain 25 forever. Only humans seem to expect that. Nature never does. A tree does not apologize for its age. A mountain does not apologize for its weathered surface. A river does not apologize for changing its course. They simply continue being what they are, growing, adapting, changing. The body follows the same pattern, not because it is failing, because life itself is movement. And movement always creates change. Perhaps one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is learning to stop treating change as evidence of failure, because many people spend years fighting reality, fighting age, fighting limitations, fighting themselves. And fighting is exhausting, especially when the battle is happening inside your own mind. Imagine for a moment that your body were a lifelong friend, a friend who had stayed beside you every day of your life, a friend who helped you through illness, helped you through heartbreak, helped you through stress, helped you through uncertainty, a friend who never abandoned you, never stopped trying, never gave up, even when conditions were difficult. How would you speak to that friend? Would you criticize them constantly? Would you focus only on their flaws? Would you remind them every day of what they no longer do perfectly? Probably not. You would likely offer understanding, patience, compassion, gratitude, and perhaps your body deserves some of those things too. Not because it is perfect, because it has been faithful through every chapter of your life. There is something profoundly healing about shifting from criticism to curiosity. Instead of asking, "Why is my body doing this to me?" you begin asking, "What is my body trying to tell me?" Instead of saying, "My body is working against me," you begin asking, "How is my body trying to protect me?" That small shift changes everything, because curiosity creates understanding, and understanding creates compassion. The truth is that your body has never been trying to win a beauty contest. It has never been trying to satisfy impossible cultural standards. It has never been trying to impress social media. Your body has been trying to keep you alive, trying to keep you safe, trying to prepare for tomorrow, trying to carry you through another day. And when viewed through that lens, many things begin making more sense. The extra caution, the protective instincts, the adaptations, even the frustrations. The body was operating from a place of care, not sabotage, perhaps imperfect care, but care nonetheless. And maybe that realization allows something inside you to soften. Maybe it allows you to put down a burden you've carried for years, the burden of believing your body has failed you. Because perhaps the opposite is true. Perhaps your body has been remarkably loyal. Perhaps it has worked harder than you ever realized. Perhaps it deserves appreciation more than criticism. As the evening grows quieter, I'd like you to imagine something. Imagine setting down every judgment you've carried about your body, not forever, just for tonight. The comparisons, the frustrations, the disappointments, the expectations. Imagine placing them gently beside the bed, allowing yourself one evening free from the need to fix anything. One evening free from self-criticism. One evening free from the endless pressure to become someone else. Because right now, your body is still working for you. Your heart is beating. Your lungs are breathing. Your cells are repairing. Your nervous system is slowly settling. The body has not given up on you, and perhaps tonight, you don't need to give up on it either. There is something beautiful about that thought. Because healing often begins not when we force change, but when we stop fighting ourselves long enough to listen, to understand, to support, to trust. The body has carried you through every chapter of your life so far. Every success, every mistake, every joy, every sorrow, every beginning, every ending. And despite everything, it is still here, still trying, still adapting, still protecting, just as it always has. So tonight, as sleep gradually begins to arrive, perhaps there is nothing left to fix, nothing left to prove, nothing left to earn. You are allowed to rest, You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to trust that your body knows more than you sometimes realize. The ancient wisdom inside you is still there. The repair work is still happening. The healing process is still unfolding, quietly, patiently. One breath at a time, one night at a time. And perhaps that is enough. Let your breathing become slower. Let your thoughts drift farther away. Let the day grow distant. Your body has spent decades trying to protect you. Tonight, you can allow it to rest beside you. Good night, and may you sleep with a little more understanding and a little more compassion for the body that has been carrying you all along.
you.